So GSTR 1, 2, 3 we have done. Okay, the last date for GSTR 1 is 10th. Last date, of course, now you don't have to file GSTR 2, which is auto-populated, and GSTR 3 is 20th of the next month. Then we have GSTR 8, which is for the composite schemes. Then GSTR 4, which is an annual return for the composite. So like this is for the other guys. Okay, so you can just go through all the numbers. Okay, and then we can have for example, GSTR 8 would be for Zomato and other things. Okay. So can you see this GSTR 2A and 2AB on your screen?
Yes, sir.
Difference between 2A, 2AB. Okay. So who asked this question?
Sir, me,
Kishore.
Kishore.
Okay. Kishore, can you just read basic form of GST? Okay. Okay. Just read the.
Distinction between Form GSTR2A and GSTR2B. Even though both the Form GSTR2A and 2B reflect similar details, both the forms are different in various ways. The difference between both the forms is summarized here. Type of statement. Form GSTR2A is a form of dynamic statement. The details of inward supplies vis-a-vis input tax credit will be updated on a continuous basis. On the other hand, Form GSTR2B is a form of static statement. The details will be updated on a constant
Okay. So now
basis.
the only basic difference is that GSTR 2A is a dynamic statement. So every time you look at the 2A, you will find the it is based on whenever people are filing their GSTR 1 return. Okay. So it gets constantly updated. But GSTR 2B is a static statement for availing your input tax credit. Okay, because you want to know that for the month of say February, how much I have to take an input tax credit. So for that, you have to go for 2B. But if you want to know so far, what is the current status of people who have filed their returns, then 2A becomes more important. Have you got it? भाई
So
आपको
current status means
आपको
both
इनपुट
the
क्रेडिट लेने
2A
के
and
लिए तो
2B.
2B देखनी पड़ेगी और 2A जो है आज का स्टेटस क्या है अभी तक का.
Sure.
So now, you can just go through and understand yourself, but 2A will be, a dynamic statement, it will keep changing. But 2B, because you have to take a input credit, so that means you have to rely on 2B, which is for that particular month. For example, we are now running in the month of March. So if you are filing your return, say for March, then you look at the February, I mean, how much, 2B has been populated. So for how much input credit you can take. So we are going to discuss this also, okay, in my next slide. So don't worry, अभी आ रहा है. अभी हम आगे देखते हैं. Okay.
Sir, I have a doubt.
Regarding what?
Sir, regarding 3B.
Okay. What is that? Doubt?
Sir, I just wanted to know if 3B is the consolidation of 2B and
One.
GSTR
हाँ.
1, then why is it not auto-populated? उसके अंदर और भी चीजें
हाँ
आती
और भी
हैं
चीजें
क्या?
इसलिए आती है. Why it is not auto populated is that ultimately you have to make a payment to the government, isn't it? So you are going to take a input credit, which is
Yes.
lying to your credit at the opening balance, and how much you have bought for the last month. So you have to do all your accounting basically to see that how much you have to pay. So what is you have to pay? It's coming from GSTR 1. What is the input available to you? It is coming from GSTR 2B. Finally, you match that and work out, how much you have to pay in cash. Okay.
Okay.
So it's a consolidated. So it doesn't give you detail, invoice-wise detail, but it gives you a complete, this thing. And finally, you have to, make your payment to the government. So it helps you to decide about your liability also. Okay.
Okay.
Fine. So अभी इसके ऊपर और चर्चा करेंगे. अभी आएगा इसके ऊपर. So just read this now.
Okay.
Suraksha, sorry, Dia, are you there? Tejaswini, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
So
sir.
कौन पढ़ेगा? Anybody can read.
So I can
Okay,
read.
read. Who is there?
Sir,
हाँ,
Tejasvi.
Tejasvi, yeah, Tejasvi.
The apportionment of credit, how to determine where goods and services are used by the registered person partly for business purposes and partly for other purposes. The amount of input credit will be reduced proportionally.
Now, suppose you are buying some goods, okay, and you are not 100% using for that business. Okay, fine. Suppose you bought, suppose 10 quantities of some items and you only use 5 items for your business and 5 items, suppose you use it for your personal purpose. Okay, so you will be entitled only for 50% of the credit. Okay, is that okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Similarly, where goods and services are used by the registered person partly for effecting taxable supplies, including zero-rated supplies, and partly for exempt supplies, input credit will be reduced
Now,
proportionately.
suppose you are selling two products, product A and product B. Okay. Now, product A is totally exempt from GST. Okay. And product B is, you have to pay GST. Suppose you have 50-50% of your sale of A and B. So, whatever input credit you are going to take, you have to take only 50% of the input credit, what is available to you. Balance, you have to reverse that. It will not be eligible to you. Is that okay?
Yes,
I'm
sir.
just going to repeat that again. This is a very, very important, this thing. Suppose if you are selling two products, I'm just giving you a very simple, this thing, product A and product B. Product A is totally exempt from GST. Okay. For example, suppose it is milk, for example, which is having a, no, I mean, which is exempt from, say, GST, for example. Okay. Now, product B is taxable. Now you are using a lot of inputs to process your goods, okay, and they are all common inputs. Suppose assuming that, so you will be entitled for only 50% of the input credit if your sale is 50-50. If your sale is say 80% from the exempted goods, 20% from the goods which are chargeable to tax, you will be entitled for only 20% of the credit. For all the inputs, suppose you have an input credit of 1 lakh, only 20,000 will be eligible to you, 80,000 will be reversed. Is that clear, Kishore?
So, sir, the proportion of sales that is subjected to tax, that proportion only you will get as a ITC, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I'm going to just show you, I'm going to show you one of my clients, data, maybe next time. Okay. Fine. So I'll show you how it happens because his 90% of his product is absolutely exempt. Only 10% is chargeable to tax. So he on the basis of 2B, he is entitled to only 10% of the input credit. 90% he has to forego. Okay. Fine. Read this.
In such cases, if the registered person has already availed input credit, the amount calculated proportionately will have to be
Okay, so
reversed.
this is what this law says. Okay, is that clear? Any questions? No. So now read this.
Who is an input service distributor under
Now this is the
GST?
second one.
An
So what
input
we have done is we have finished this. Okay, now we are coming to the who is the input service distributor. Okay.
Okay. An input service distributor is a taxpayer that receives invoices for services used by its branches. It distributes the tax paid, known as the input tax credit, to such branches on a proportional basis by issuing ISD invoices. The branches can have different GSTNs but must have the same PAN as that of
Now,
ISD.
so just to give an example, what does this mean? When I was working with Vodafone Idea, so our head office was giving advertisement in print media and TV and everything. So we used to get an invoice from the TV operator. Our head office used to get an invoice of say 1 crore rupees for advertisement given for the entire circles or entire businesses of Vodafone Idea. So we are present in say almost like for example we are present in 20 states of India. Okay, and the bill was for 2 crores for the say TV media. So that means each state will be given some allocation, say 2 lakh rupees each. So what will happen? The head office is going to receive a bill from the TV broadcasting company, and then the head office is going to raise invoices, GST invoices to all the branches. Okay, fine. So that the head office is not going to take any input tax credit. So they are going to pass on that input credit to all the branches. So this is So who is the input distributor in case of my example? The head office of Vodafone Idea. And who are the branches? All the branches like Delhi, Mumbai, Maharashtra, Kerala. So, because everybody has to bear those expenses and they can take the input credit, proportionately on the basis of the debit notes or the invoices raised by the head office. Now just read this in again.
Yes, sir. So an input service distributor is a taxpayer that receives invoices for services used by its branches. It distributes the tax paid known as the input tax credit to such branches as a proportional basis by issuing ISD invoices. The branches can have different GST INS but must have the same PAN as that of
So
ISD.
the rule is that the ISD distributor can raise invoices only to its own branches because they will have the same PAN. Company will have only one PAN, but will have different branches, different GSTN numbers. Okay, so that like head office will receive some amount of an invoice for providing any service. I mean, they have received any service. For example, they have given an advertisement in the newspaper for the entire company, so they want to pass on this expense as well as the tax to all the branches. Then they have to raise invoices on those branches, okay, which will carry the GST amount, and then based on those invoices they will get auto populated in 2B and they can take the input credit. Have you followed this, everyone? Is it clear to everyone? Suraksha, uh, Kajal, Tejasvi?
Yes,
Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
yes,
So
sir.
let's understand through an example. Okay, read this example.
Yeah, the head office of MSABC Limited is located in Bangalore, having branches in Chennai, Mumbai, and Kolkata. The head office incurred annual software maintenance expense, service received, on behalf of all its branches and received the invoice for the same. Since the software is used by all its branches, the input tax credit of entire services cannot be claimed in Bangalore. The same has to be distributed to all three locations. Here, the head office at Bangalore is the input service provider.
Okay, so fine. So this is okay. So I'm just skipping this, okay? So then you can just go through this later on. So now we come to what are the conditions for taking input credit. Okay, can you read?
What are conditions for taking input tax credit? Registered person, input tax credit is available only to a registered
So
person.
now this is the most important part, Suraksha, because you're taking this as a project. And Kajal, so you must, everybody should listen. And, particularly for those people who are taking the project, it becomes more important for them also. But otherwise, this is the most important, topic of GST. So registered person input credit is available only to a registered person. Next.
Moreover, it is available in respect of input supplies of goods and services, which are used or intended to be used in the course or furtherance of the business of the person who wants to claim the benefit of input tax
So
credit.
basically, input credit, tax credit is available only if you are going to use those goods or services, input supplies for your business, for selling your final products. So all these as becoming your inputs. So only if you are using it for the course of business or for furtherance of your business, then only you will be entitled for the benefit of input tax credit. Otherwise, not. If you're going to use this for some other purpose, okay, then you are not entitled for the input tax credit.
To avail the benefit of input tax credit, it should be credited in the electronic credit ledger.
So, I showed you what is an electronic credit ledger. So, if you go to the GST portal, so all that amount which is coming in 2B will get auto populated in the electronic credit ledger. So, you can always see, what is the total balance which is lying, which you can claim as input tax credit. Okay.
What are conditions for taking input tax credit? Tax invoice. The input tax credit shall be availed by a registered person, including the input service distributor, on the basis of any of the following document. An invoice issued by the supplier of goods or services. An invoice issued when tax is payable by the registered dealer under reverse charge
So
mechanism.
basically, it is the invoice. So the document which is used for availing input tax credit is an invoice. Either it is an invoice raised by the registered person, or it can be by a person which is like an advocate. Because for that you have to pay. I mean, you have to the registered reverse charge under charge mechanism comes into play. So the invoice of an advocate will also be important for you, though it is not coming from the registered guy, but here also you are entitled for the input tax credit. Okay.
A debit note issued by a supplier. A bill of entry for the assessment of IGST on imports.
Okay. So first is a debit note. So you can also receive debit notes, okay, which may carry as I gave an example, it will carry the details about additional amount which has been debited to you along with the tax component. So that also becomes a very important document for taking input tax credit. So invoice, debit note, then bill of entry. Have you heard about what is bill of entry? Now, bill of entry is whenever you import goods from abroad. Okay, whenever you are importing goods from abroad, so I like all of you to go to Google and say bill of entry. Okay, Google and understand what is a bill of entry. Okay, so I'll explain that, and then we can just go through. Kishore, you can just share that whatever we are seeing on your Google, and then you can just read out from there later on. A bill of entry. So bill of entry is basically a document which an importer needs to file with the custom authorities. Whenever the goods arrive at Bombay Custom Port or Calcutta Custom Port or anywhere, I mean, whether coming from, any seaport, so a bill of entry needs to be filed by the importer. Okay, telling that what items are they have imported, what items have arrived on the sea coast. Okay, what is the HSN code, what is the amount of item, what is the total duty that is supposed to be paid on that item. Okay, and all the details from where they have imported and all the details which the government requires, they have to enter that in the bill of entry. Then on the basis of the bill of entry, the items will be cleared and inspected by the customs. So custom authorities will go through the bill of entry, check with the items, and if they find everything is in order, then they will allow you to take the goods after you have paid the custom duty. Now, apart from custom duty, you have to pay some ISD, GST also. As I told you that there is CVD and countervailing duty which was converted into ISD. So there is some component of tax which you need to pay. Okay, so for that you are entitled for input tax credit. Okay, so bill of entry. So what is bill of entry? So this is a very important document in my life. I have dealt with bill of entry at various places. Kishore, आप देखा आपने bill of entry?
नहीं
तो
सर.
कोई बात नहीं, मैं दिखाता हूँ आपको bill of entry. Bill of entry. So this is a very, very important document, and it used to be the most important document in our lives. Now of course, because we have GST, so it is only helpful in customs. So if you can just see the images, so this is a bill of entry will look like. Okay, can you see it? Bill of entry for home consumption. So it will tell you what items you have imported. Okay, so I'm just going to show you the all basically what is the write up. I'll say what is bill of entry. Okay, definition. Just read this, Kishore.
Imported goods have to go through a few legal procedures in the importing countries on their arrival. Bill of entry is one such legal document which is filed by the importers or custom clear agents on the imported goods. Bill of entry is one of the important documents in the international trading market.
Next, आगे पढ़ो.
What is bill of entry? When goods are imported, a legal document is filed by the importer or a custom agent on their arrival. This legal document is called a bill of entry. The bill of entry forms an important part of the customs clearance procedure and is submitted to the customs department. The bill of entry can be issued either for
Okay,
bond
just hold on,
clearance
just
or
hold on,
home
just
use.
hold on. So now we just go back to our this thing. Okay, so now you can just go through the what is more about bill of entry. Of course, you are saying that bill of entry can be filed for home consumption as well as for bonded bill house. So you can just go through, and I'll explain that in my next lecture because this is not so relevant for GST. Okay, fine. Okay, next. आगे पढ़ो.
An input service distributor
So that
invoice.
means the invoice raised by your supplier, the invoice raised by an advocate, a debit note raised by your supplier, a bill of entry filed by you in the customs, at the customs house, and input service distributor invoice, okay, which you are going to take the credit because suppose your head office is raising an input service distributor invoice on you for kind of some common expense. So that will become an important part for taking input credit. आगे पढ़िए.
What are conditions for taking input tax credit? Input tax credit shall be availed by a registered person only if all the applicable particulars as specified in rules pertaining to issue of tax invoice are contained in the aforesaid document.
Okay, yeah.
Rule 36(4)
ऊपर पढ़ो, टॉप पे क्या लिखा है? टॉप टॉप.
restrictions imposed by Rule 36(4).
Okay, just hold on, just hold on. So this is very very important restriction which has come very recently. Okay, so just read this.
Rule 36(4) has been inserted with effect from October 9, 2019. To understand the implication of Rule 36(4), one has to understand the mechanism of filing Form GSTR1 by input supplier and reflection of this data in Form GSTR2B of the recipient.
Okay. Now I'll just tell you in nutshell before we read the rule. Only you can take credit only for the amount which has been populated in GSTR2B. Something which has not been populated in GSTR2B, you will not be able to take the input credit. If there is a delay on the side of your supplier to file the GSTR1 return, you will be able to entitle to that input credit only when he files his GSTR1 return. Okay. If he doesn't file, then you lose the input credit. Is that okay? So GSTR2B return becomes the final document on the basis of which you can take the input credit. Maybe that you have purchased a lot of things, but you find that the GSTR2B is not giving all the details what you have purchased, but you will be entitled for the input credit only to the extent of what is mentioned in GSTR2B. Okay. So let's read this. Okay. First, read this.
What are conditions for taking input tax credit? GSTR1 is the return to be furnished for reporting details of all outward supplies. GSTR1 is to be filled by all normal taxpayers who are registered under GST. It is to be filed monthly, in some cases quarterly. On the basis of data uploaded by input supplier in Form GSTR1, Form GSTR2B is generated for the recipient. For the recipient, data of GSTR2B is auto-populated based upon GSTR1 uploaded by all input suppliers of dealer for a tax period. GSTR2B is a read-only return and no action can be taken. What are conditions for taking input tax credit? Legal position before insertion of Rule 36(4). Before insertion of Rule 36(4), that is before October 9, 2019, one can take input tax credit on the basis of supplier's invoice, regardless of data appearing in Form GSTR2A or 2B.
Okay, just hold on. So earlier, you could take the input tax credit on the basis of the supplier invoices. Okay. So before 2019, okay, so whatever you have purchased as per your own books of account, you were supposed to take the input tax credit. But now everything is limited to the extent of 2B. Okay.
Legal position after insertion of Rule 36(4). Rule 36(4) has been inserted with effect from October 2019. After insertion of Rule 36(4), one cannot take input tax credit without examining the credit available in GSTR2.
So that means first you have to examine what is credit available under GSTR2B, and you are entitled only to take the credit what is mentioned in 2B and nothing else.
So now it has been extremely important that the supplier, like each of the party involved in the transaction, must file the GSTR1.
Absolutely, you're right. Just go through and then we'll understand. Yeah.
Under Rule 36(4), input tax credit pertaining to input invoices, debit notes, which is available to a registered dealer for a tax period cannot exceed the
So the
following.
rule is like this, okay? Just see the rule.
120% of eligible credit available in his Form GSTR 2B, applicable on or after October 24, but before January 20. Or 110% of eligible credit available in his Form GSTR 2B, or 105% of eligible credit available in his Form GSTR 2B after January 1, 21, but before January 22. 100% of eligible credit balance available in GSTR 2B from January
So
22.
now the finally, which is applicable in the last column, 100%. So the last box becomes the most important thing now because all other dates have gone now. 100% of the eligible credit balance available in GSTR 2B, applicable from January 1, 2022. So whatever is mentioned in GSTR 2B, eligible credit balance, only eligible. If something you're not eligible, then I mean that has to be ignored. Okay, like suppose you have bought a motor car. On cars, you're not eligible for this thing. Okay, so 100% of that. Okay, so let's see an example to understand. Read this example.
Provision illustrated. X Limited is a registered GST dealer. It gives the following information pertaining to January 2024. Outward supply during January 2024, GST on outward supply made by X Limited is 54,90,000. It is aggregate GST liability of 59 invoices of X during January 24. Inward supply during January 24, X Limited receives 30 tax invoices pertaining to taxable inward supply of inputs, input services, and input capital goods. Input credit pertaining to these invoices is as
So that
follows.
means, this guy X Limited has, he's looking at his January data. So he find that he has, have an outward supply or his total sale is, given to him, and which is, the total liability as per the GST liability works out to be 54,90,000 rupees. Okay. And there are 59 invoices. Of course, this number of invoices will have no significance. So he has total liabilities 54,90,000. But then during
Okay.
January 24, he has had some inward supply. So he received 30 tax invoices. Okay. Amount is not given here. Okay. Now read further.
Eligible input tax credit 29 invoices. Quantum of eligible input tax credit for January 24 as per records of X Limited is 46,20,000. Ineligible input tax credit, that is one invoice. X Limited has purchased a car during January 24 for its executives. GST paid is rupees
So how
7,80,000.
many invoices? Actually, 30 invoices. Out of that, 29 invoices pertain to eligible input tax credit. That is 46,20,000. Whereas one invoice for buying a car, for which he has paid a GST of 7,80,000. So this is ineligible. Okay. So for if you buy a car, you're not entitled for input credit. Okay, unless it is a 14-seater car and it's used for business purpose. Okay. Read further. Kishore, who is reading? Have you lost the line or what?
Hello.
Are you able to see that? Are you all there? Can you read?
So can you, sir, I have lost the internet connectivity.
अच्छा इंटरनेट कनेक्टिविटी खत्म हो गई हाँ सबकी
सर लास्ट स्लाइड मेरी हो गई
अच्छा
थी,
अच्छा अब दिख
बिल्कुल
रही
नहीं
है ना
खत्म
अब
हुआ।
दिख रही है
अब दिख रही
ये
है
देखो
सर।
ये पढ़ो
Inward supply subject to reverse charge mechanism. X Limited is also eligible for input tax credit of rupees 60,000 pertaining to GST of January 24. It is paid by X Limited on inputs which are under reverse charge
so that means
mechanism.
he has taken some advocate services on which he has paid a 60,000 rupees GST. Okay, so this is information given. Okay, okay, ऊपर पढ़ो.
Credit reflected in Form GSTR to be eligible input credit reflected in Form GSTR to be for January 24 is
Read.
Situation 1, rupees 36 lakh, total invoices 24. Situation 2, rupees 44 lakh, total invoices 26. Situation 3, rupees 45 lakh, total invoices 27. Situation 4, rupees 46 lakh, total 28 invoices. Moreover, GSTR 2B of January 24 of X Limited shows input tax credit pertaining to the car purchased by X Limited for its executive. Amount of input tax as per GSTR 2B is 7,80,000. Input tax credit as per Rule 36(4) is given in above data is not relevant for calculating input tax credit. Input tax credit pertaining to car is not considered as it is blocked by Section 17(5)(a). It is not eligible for ITC even if it is reflected in GSTR 2B. Quantum of input tax credit available as per 36(4) to X Limited is as
Okay, now
follows.
just have a look here. So first is there, these are the four situation. So what is this total input tax credit as per the records of this thing? 46 lakhs, 46 lakhs, 46 lakhs. Okay, if you can just go here,
Yes,
it was
sir.
given here. Okay, somewhere here. Okay. Look at this. 46 lakhs. Okay, eligible 46 lakhs 20,000. Can you see this number? Okay. So I'm just putting this number here. So eligible, this thing is there. How much is there in the 2B? First case 36 lakhs, second case 44 lakhs, third case 45 lakhs, fourth case 46 lakhs. Have you followed this? So the first column is how much
Yes, sir.
his credit is available as per his own records. As per his own record, which is given in A, as per his records of the GSTR 2B, it is given as the B here, okay? 2B ka, 36 lakhs. So how much is entitled for? Whatever is there in the GSTR 2B, 100% of B above, 36 lakh 44. How much is, not he is allowed for? The difference of the two, 46 minus 36, okay, which is 10 lakh 20,000 in situation 1. In situation 2, it is 2 lakh 20,000. In situation 3, it is 1 lakh 20,000. In situation 4, it is 20,000. Have you understood this? Kajal, Suraksha,
Yes, sir.
Suraksha, have you followed this? ये
Yes.
समझ आ गया आपको?
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Now, what is the total eligible credit, eligible input tax credit available for January? 36 lakh, 44 lakhs, 45 lakhs, and 46 lakhs. So that means this amount, which is mentioned in column D, okay, sorry, row D, this one, this is not
Columns.
इसके लिए eligible नहीं होगा अभी वो, ठीक है, इस महीने में. Is that okay?
Yes.
Now, read this.
Amount payable by X Limited for January 24 in cash. Under forward charge, X Limited will have to pay in cash rupees 54 lakh 90,000 minus eligible input tax credit as per Rule 36(4). That is minus input tax credit pertaining to amount paid under reverse
So
charge.
that means,
That is
yeah, it will be
60,000.
54 lakh 90,000, and then the column D, column D is this, this is amount which is blocked. Okay, fine. Minus this thing. Okay, and of course he has taken a 60,000 rupees for the he has to pay in cash. So for under reverse charge mechanism he has to pay 60,000 in cash. Okay, fine. So अभी इसका मतलब क्या है उसको जो पे करना पड़ेगा ये 46 lakhs minus 36 lakhs तो जो अमाउंट आएगी not minus, sorry, he is entitled for 46 lakh, which is column number E. So he will be column number E. Under forward he has to pay for minus eligible credit as per, इसको हमने D लिखा हुआ है, I think it should be E, है ना?
Yes,
E
sir.
होना चाहिए. Okay, so he will be entitled for this only. Okay. Plus he has to pay 60,000 rupees as,
Sir, but ये
हाँ,
वो 60,000 और एडिशनल पे करना पड़ेगा ना
हाँ,
सर?
वो रिवर्स चार्ज का जो होता है ना उसको कैश में पे करना पड़ेगा. मतलब उसको वो कोई क्रेडिट नहीं ले सकता किसी का भी. जो रिवर्स चार्ज की
तो
लायबिलिटी
सर
होती
यहाँ
है,
पर आपने लिखा
जस्ट
है
लिसन टू मी, द रिवर्स चार्ज लायबिलिटी इज ऑलवेज हैज टू बी पेड इन कैश. He can't use input
ओके
credit for paying off the reverse charge this thing. However, suppose I have taken a service from a lawyer, so whatever I have to, is my reverse charge liability, I have to pay in cash. Okay. After paying cash, okay, so I have to pay that cash. That's all. Is that okay?
तो सर आपने यहाँ पर लिखा है 54,90,000 माइनस एलिजिबल इनपुट टैक्स क्रेडिट एज पर रूल 36(4) दैट इज ई माइनस इनपुट टैक्स क्रेडिट पर्टेनिंग टू अमाउंट.
हाँ, माइनस इनपुट
हम अपने लायबिलिटी से माइनस नहीं.
हाँ, क्योंकि वो 60,000 रुपीज जो है वो पार्ट ऑफ वो इनपुट क्रेडिट का आ गया ना, क्योंकि रिवर्स चार्ज मैकेनिज्म भी तो उसमें आ गया ना. ओके. जो ई पार्ट है उसमें 60,000 रुपए जो है वो भी इंक्लूड है और उसको आपको कैश में पे करना पड़ेगा. ओके.
अच्छा, ई पार्ट में वो ऑलरेडी
हाँ,
इंक्लूडेड
अगर
है.
आप एज्यूम करो, इसका मतलब यही है कि इंक्लूड है. ओके, फाइन. ये आपका उसी बुक में से लिया हुआ है. यू कैन जस्ट गो थ्रू द ई बुक ऑल्सो एंड जस्ट रीड अगेन फॉर योर अंडरस्टैंडिंग. यू कैन ऑल गो एंड रीड थ्रू. सो 60,000 रुपीज जो रिवर्स चार्ज का होता है उसको कैश में ही पे करना होता है हमेशा. अगर वो पार्ट भी है इनपुट क्रेडिट का तो हम उसको इनपुट क्रेडिट नहीं ले सकते उसका. देखो, जो इनपुट क्रेडिट है टू बी में हम मानते हैं कि वो उसका पार्ट है, सपोज फॉर एग्जांपल, तो हमें उसको माइनस करना पड़ेगा, है ना. फाइन. ओके, सो हम उसको अभी यही मान लेते हैं. हाँ, अभी हम देखते हैं इसका क्या है. चलो आगे चलो. हाँ,
X Limited can claim the blocked input tax credit that is E. ये E नहीं होगा सर, ये D
ये
होगा.
पहले क्या लिया था हमने? ई लिया था ना, इसको तो ई कर दिया. तो ई है.
इसको E
अच्छा ठीक है, ये तो हम उसको बोल रहे डी होना चाहिए. चलो हम पढ़ो, कोई बात नहीं, पढ़ो.
in any of the succeeding months provided details of requisite invoices are uploaded by the suppliers in their GSTR1 and subsequent reflection that is auto-populated of the same in GSTR2B of X
हाँ,
Limited.
अब क्या होगा अगले महीने में जो आपको भी नहीं मिला था, है ना, क्रेडिट. जैसे आपने देखा कि यहाँ पर आपको 10 लाख का नहीं मिला, ये 10 लाख नहीं मिला आपको, है ना. फाइन. यहाँ 2 लाख नहीं मिला, यहाँ 1 लाख नहीं मिला. अब ये तो है नहीं कि निकल जाएगा, ये आपको अगले महीने मिलेगा ना, जब वो लोग फाइल कर देंगे रिटर्न अपनी. ओके. जैसे जैसे GSTR1 रिटर्न फाइल होगी ये अमाउंट आपको मिलता जाएगा, है ना. जब तक इस महीने में तो सिर्फ इतने लोगों ने फाइल करी थी और ये बैलेंस रह गया था. अब सब्सिक्वेंट मंथ्स में क्या होगा, जब वो लोग फाइल करेंगे तो आपको मिलना शुरू हो जाएगा. इसको पढ़ो.
Suppose in situation 1 data submitted by supplier of X Limited pertaining to January 24 supplies in their GSTR1 for February 24 which is auto-populated in GSTR2B of X Limited shows eligible ITC of rupees 4 lakh case 1 or rupees 9 lakh case 2. Amount available as ITC to X Limited for the month of February 24 pertaining to January 24 input supplies will be as follows.
अच्छा, अब क्या हो गया कि अब 4 लाख और 9 लाख दो केस हो गए, है ना. तो एलिजिबल इनपुट टैक्स क्रेडिट इज रिफ्लेक्टेड इन GSTR2B ऑफ February इज 4 lakhs और 9 lakhs. ओके. तो इसका 100% मिल जाएगा ये वाला का. तो एलिजिबल इनपुट क्रेडिट अवेलेबल फॉर पर्टेनिंग टू अमाउंट रिस्ट्रिक्टेड और ब्लॉक्ड इन जनवरी और दिस अमाउंट विच एवर इज लो. तो पहले वाले केस में क्या था, वो फिगर थी 10,20,000, तो 6,20,000 तो ब्लॉक रहेगा. अभी 4 लाख का और मिल जाएगा अगले महीने. ओके. इसका मतलब क्या था, ये देखो यहां पर 10 लाख था, यहाँ 10,20,000 था सिचुएशन 1 में. अब सिचुएशन 1 को ही देखते हैं. अगर हम सिचुएशन 1 में क्या हुआ कि 4 लाख का बिल आ गया 2B में रिफ्लेक्ट कर गया. ओके. तो अब 4 लाख उसको मिल जाएगा, 6,20,000 अभी भी ब्लॉक रहेगा. अगर सपोज वो 9 लाख होता तो 1,20,000 ब्लॉक में रहता. इसका मतलब ये है. लास्ट नोट पढ़ो.
Amount as shown in 1 above can be claimed as input tax credit in March 24 provided relevant data of invoices debit notes is uploaded by the supplier of X Limited in their GSTR1. As and when invoices debit notes are uploaded by supplier X Limited will be able to claim credit.
So इसका मतलब ये है नेट कि जो आपके GSTR2B में ऑटो पॉपुलेट हो गया है, आपको सिर्फ उतना ही क्रेडिट मिलेगा उस महीने में. अब नेक्स्ट महीने में जो आपको नहीं मिला था और लोगों ने GSTR रिटर्न फाइल कर दी, तो जितनी फाइल कर दी उतना मिलेगा. हो सकता है कुछ आपको ना भी मिले, जो क्योंकि हो सकता है कि किसी ने क्वार्टरली रिटर्न फाइल करी तो आपको 3 या 4 महीनों में पूरा 100% क्रेडिट मिलेगा फॉर दैट पर्टिकुलर मंथ. Is that okay? Is this clear to everyone? I just going to check with everyone. Okay. So फिर आप इसको देख सकते हैं अच्छी तरह से बाद में. So I am just going to come back to the screen. Okay. So is that
सर जो 46 lakhs टोटल हमारा कैलकुलेशन था कि हमें इतना आईटीसी मिलना चाहिए, बट केस 1 में हमें 36 lakhs मिला. इसका रीजन यही था क्योंकि वो जो हमारे जो सप्लायर्स हैं उन्होंने शायद सब कुछ फाइल नहीं
बिल्कुल
किया.
बिल्कुल
यही
बिल्कुल.
रीजन था.
आपको मिलना चाहिए था ज्यादा, लेकिन जितना लोगों ने फाइल करा था उतना मिल गया. ओके. और फिर आप नेक्स्ट महीने
बाकी
दोबारा
10
देखते
lakh
हो,
लोगों ने फाइल
नेक्स्ट
नहीं.
महीने में दोबारा देखते हो तो उस महीने में क्या हुआ कि जो लोगों ने फाइल कर दिया पिछले उस महीने का, उनका फिर मिल जाएगा आपको. अभी भी हो सकता है कुछ रह गया. तो जब तक उस महीने का एग्जॉस्ट नहीं हो जाता, सब लोग फाइल नहीं कर देते, तब तक आपको नहीं मिलेगा. कहने का मतलब ये. हैव यू फॉलोड? मनु, हैव यू फॉलोड? सुरक्षा, हैव यू फॉलोड?
Yes, sir.
सुरक्षा.
Yes, sir.
What about Pratishtha? Is it clear? If you want, I can repeat this again.
Yes, sir.
If Tejasvi, anyone, if you want, I can repeat this again. Sankalp, Ayushi, and others, please. I'm not able to see other names.
Sir, can you repeat one
हाँ,
more?
एक बार दोबारा बता दे. दोबारा से आपको I'll just run through, okay? So don't worry. I'm just going through back. This is a very simple thing. You have to just understand the logic. Forget about the numbers, okay? Fine. So वो आप अपनी बुक में जाके जब आपको ऐसा आ जाए कि आप देख सकते हो. तो क्या था कि दिस वाज द सिचुएशन कि आपने जो अपनी इनपुट टैक्स क्रेडिट था आपको, आपने जो टोटल लायबिलिटी बनती थी सबसे पहले वो देखते हैं हम. अब देखो लास्ट वाला जो कॉलम है 100%. इफ यू गो जस्ट गो एट द बॉटम ऑफ इट, 100% ऑफ द एलिजिबल क्रेडिट बैलेंस अवेलेबल इन जीएसटी आर टू बी applicable from January 1st, 2022. So January 1st,
Sir,
2000.
your screen is not
Anji,
visible.
screen is not visible. Okay, sorry.
You have on
Actually,
your
I'll just,
share.
it's my problem. I'll just go to change it. Listen now. Okay, so now, is that my screen visible now?
Yes, sir.
So, if you just focus only on the last, box, 100% of the eligible credit balance available in GSTR 2B, applicable from January 1 to 2022. इससे पहले के जो 3 बॉक्सेस हैं वो पिछले ईरा के, खत्म हो गया वो टाइम. अब तो टाइम है कि आपका जितना भी 100% बैलेंस है GSTR 2B का, which is auto populated, you are eligible only for that credit only. Okay? और वो भी एलिजिबल होना चाहिए. यानी कि अगर आपने कोई गाड़ी खरीदी है या कोई दूसरे आपके बिल हैं जिसके ऊपर इनपुट क्रेडिट नहीं मिलता, बट उन लोगों ने तो आपका जीएसटी नंबर लिया हुआ था, तो वो ऑटो पॉपुलेट तो हो जाएंगे आपके जीएसटी ट्यूबी में. बट देयर आर सर्टेन आइटम्स ऑन विच यू आर नॉट एंटाइटल्ड फॉर इनपुट क्रेडिट. सो ओनली एलिजिबल इनपुट क्रेडिट जो होगा उसका 100% आपको मिलेगा. इज दिस क्लियर टू एवरीवन फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल?
Yes, sir.
Now, let's say that there's a person called X. So he's examining his liability as on January 2024. So he saw that on his outward tax supply liability was 54,90,000. उसको 54,90,000 rupees का उसने टैक्स कलेक्ट करा था. Okay, and he has raised 59 invoices. Okay, now जो इनवर्ट सप्लाई थी उसके he has got 30 invoices. He got 30 invoices, so he entered that in his record 30 invoices. Okay, now he is supposed to receive 30. He received on 29 invoices were eligible. उस 30 में से 29 invoice eligible थे. That means one invoice for buying a car. Okay, which was 7 lakhs. So he excluded that. So that means his total input credit was 46,20,000. Excluding this, motor car GST. So that means this was the input credit available. Out of 30 invoices, he was entitled for only 29 invoices, which were coming in eligible category. Okay, one was not eligible, so excluded that. So total input credit was 46,20,000. Now, let's forget this. I mean the reverse charge. So now there are four scenarios. When he saw that his GST at 2B auto population, when he saw that it was only 36 lakhs. So this was one. Only 24 out of 29 invoices, only 24 got populated. Okay. So if this is the case, then he is going to entitle for only 36 lakhs. Okay. So which means his total was how much? 46 lakh 20,000. So 46 lakhs 20,000 minus 36 lakhs. So that is only eligible. Okay, so let's go back. 44 lakhs. Then the third case is 45. Fourth case is 46. So these are the so this can be various situations. Okay, so we are just trying to see that under each situation what will be his eligible this thing. So now let's go back here and see. So this was his input tax credit, 36 lakhs, the first case. So which means that he will be not entitled for 10 lakh 20,000 in situation 1. So 46 lakh 20,000 was the input credit, 36 lakhs, which was reflected in GSTR 2B. So 10 lakh 20,000 he will be entitled only in the subsequent months when the people are going to file their GSTR 1 returns. In लोगों ने GST return file नहीं करी, okay? So he is going to entitle only for 36 lakhs. So rest 10 lakh 20,000 will be blocked till the people file their returns. So situation 2 में 2 lakh 20,000, situation 3 में 1 lakh 20,000, situation 4 में 20,000. Is this clear to everyone?
Yes.
Yes,
Is
sir.
there any doubt?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So that means this is the amount which is his eligible input credit available for January after provision of rule this thing, A or C, whichever is lower. So either what was he was supposed to receive, which is 46 lakhs, or C, which is 36. So it will be 36 lakhs. Okay. उसका maximum कितना मिलना था उसको 46 lakhs. But मिलेगा कितना 36 lakhs because people have filed only return for 36 lakhs. Is this clear? The last one, eligible input tax credit available for January 2024 after provision of Rule 36(4), A or C, whichever is lower. So either it has to be A or C, whichever is lower. So lower is 36 lakhs. So 36 lakhs. Second में 44 lakhs. Is this clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Then we come to a situation that in the subsequent months. Suppose let's take about the case 1. So when he is looking at February GST at 2B, पहले तो वो जनवरी का देख रहा था. Now he is going to next month he is going to again see what has happened with respect to in February 24 he looks that he has got only another 4 lakh invoices. Case 1. Case 2 में 9 लाख आए. तो ये तो आपको मिल जाएंगे. तो अब जो रह जाएगा वो suppose we take only the first case where he was eligible for 10 lakh 20,000. So now he is eligible for 4 lakhs. So which means now he will be ineligible for 6 lakh 20,000. जो 10 लाख 20,000 में से 4 लाख और आ गए तो 6 लाख 20,000 जो ये वाली फिगर थी आपकी. Look at this figure, 10 lakh 20,000. We are just examining this, okay? 36 lakhs आ गया था. अब 4 लाख और आ गया तो ये 40 हो जाएगा. 40 minus 46 तो यानी 6 लाख 20,000 रुपए रह जाएगा यहाँ पर जो एलिजिबल है, which is not eligible, 6 lakh 20,000. Or if suppose it was 9 lakhs, then eligible would have been 1 lakh 20,000. Okay, so amount restricted or blocked after GST for the February. Okay, so then as in next month, in the month of March, suppose more people file, he'll get more input credit. Is this okay?
Yes, sir.
अच्छा चलो जब other points देख लेते हैं. Just read this, Kishore.
The following additional points pertaining to Rule 36(4) are relevant. Restriction of 100% is not supplier-wise. The restriction imposed by Rule 36(4) is not supplier-wise. The credit available under Rule 36(4) is linked to total eligible credit from all suppliers against all suppliers whose details have been uploaded by the
Is this
supplier.
clear? So it is not that it is only the amount wise we look at, not the supplier wise. Okay, जितना उसको मिल गया है, जितना क्रेडिट आ गया वो मिलेगा, irrespective of the invoices, irrespective of this thing. That is just the amount on which he is eligible. Okay, so now just okay, just look at this. Just we are going to close in 5 minutes now.
Reversal of input tax credit in the case of non-payment of tax by the
Okay,
supplier.
suppose if you
Wherein
have not paid the money to your supplier, suppose you have bought some goods from the supplier and you have not paid it, then you have to reverse the input tax credit. अगर आपने कोई मटेरियल खरीदा और आपने उसकी पेमेंट ही नहीं करी, तो then you are not entitled for the input tax credit and you have to make a reversal. Just read this, Kishore.
reversal of input tax credit in the case of non-payment of tax by the supplier, where input tax credit has been availed by a registered person on the basis of data appearing in the form GSTR 2B, but the return in form of GSTR 3B for the tax period corresponding to the said statement of outward suppliers has not been furnished by such supplier till September 30, following the end of financial year in which the input tax credit in respect of such invoice or debit note has been availed, the said amount of input tax credit shall be reversed by the said
So
registered
it
person.
means net, that means that he has not paid the money to the supplier, so he has to take a reversal of that. आप पढ़ो.
It will be reversed while furnishing a return in form GSTR 3B on or before November 30 following the end of such
So this is
financial
the,
year.
this is the last date by which he should be reversing it. Okay. Okay, टाइम लिमिट ये हमने कर लिया था. देखो कुछ बचा है हमारे पास. हाँ, अब ये लास्ट है क्या बस. ओके, दिस इज द लास्ट थिंग. आइटम्स नॉट एलिजिबल फॉर इनपुट क्रेडिट. जस्ट रीड इट.
ITC is available on almost all inward supply of goods services used for making outward taxable supply. However, a negative list of few items is given by section 17.5. The negative list is given below. You cannot claim ITC on vehicles purchased for passenger transportation such as four-wheeler motor cars, three-wheeler, two-wheeler motorbikes, tempo travelers having seats less than 13, or any other vehicles used on the road. However, ITC claimed are still allowed for purchase of a passenger transportation vehicle where buyer conducts the following business: passenger transportation service or cab or bus rental, driving schools, automobile retail shops, showrooms or manufacturing
हाँ, अगर
establishments.
आपका बिजनेस ही जो है कोई ड्राइविंग स्कूल का है या पैसेंजर ट्रांसपोर्टेशन का है, तो आपको इनपुट क्रेडिट मिलेगा. अदरवाइज इफ यू आर डूइंग अ बिजनेस, अ टेक्सटाइल बिजनेस एंड यू आर बाइंग अ मोटर कार, then you are not entitled for input credit for buying any motor car, any bus, any three-wheeler, anything, except if the seating capacity is more than 13 including driver, तब आपको मिलता है. अब आगे देखते हैं. ओके, जस्ट हाँ ये
Um,
देखो टैक्सेस. हाँ ये पढ़ो.
Goods or services or both wherein the tax is paid under composition scheme.
हाँ, अगर आप कंपोजिशन स्कीम से लेते हो तो आपको तो इनवॉइस मिलेगा ही नहीं, तो आपको इनपुट क्रेडिट नहीं मिलेगा ना. जो कंपोजिशन स्कीम वाला जो बंदा
Yeah.
है, ही इज नॉट गोइंग टू रेज इनवॉइस ऑन यू. ओके, सो जीएसटी इनवॉइस तो रेज करेगा नहीं, तो इसके लिए मिलेगा नहीं. नेक्स्ट.
Goods or services or both were used when used for personal consumption. Goods lost or stolen or destroyed or written off or disposed of by way of gift or free
सो
sample.
एक तो पर्सनल कंजम्पशन के लिए कोई सामान खरीद रहे हो तो उस पर आपको कोई भी इनपुट क्रेडिट नहीं मिलेगा. और अगर आपके गुड्स चोरी हो जाते हैं रास्ते में, या फिर आपके पास पहुंच जाते हैं लेकिन आपने उसको फ्री सैंपल दे दिया या गिफ्ट दे दिया, तो उसके ऊपर कोई भी आपको इनपुट क्रेडिट नहीं मिलेगा. और आपने लिया है तो उसको रिवर्स करना पड़ेगा. ये पढ़िए.
Food and beverages, outdoor catering, beauty treatment, health services,
ओके,
cosmetic
जस्ट होल्ड
and
ऑन. देखो क्या होता है कि अगर आप बिजनेस कर रहे हो और आपने खाना मंगाया, आपके यहाँ कोई मीटिंग हो रही है, एंड यू आस्क फॉर पिज्जाज और समथिंग, फूड फॉर ऑल द पीपल हु आर अटेंडिंग द मीटिंग. सो वो फूड के ऊपर जो आपका 5% जीएसटी लगता है, उसका आपको कोई भी इनपुट क्रेडिट नहीं मिलेगा. So on food and beverages, if you purchase and they are used for your business purpose, still you are not entitled for input credit on items which you are buying as food or outdoor catering. अगर आपने सपोज एक केटरिंग करा दी, काफी लोगों को आपने बुलाया, अपना एनुअल गैदरिंग करी, सारे लोगों को बुलाया, एम्प्लॉइज को, सबकी फैमिलीज के साथ आपको खाना खिलाया, तो उसके ऊपर कोई जीएसटी लगती है 18%, वो आपको नहीं मिलेगी. कोई आपने ब्यूटी ट्रीटमेंट कराई अपने लिए, उसके नहीं मिलेगी. हेल्थ सर्विसेज यू आर गिविंग सम हेल्थ सर्विसेज टू योर एम्प्लॉइज, वो कह रहे हैं कि भाई आप चेकअप करा लो, ये करा लो, तो उसके ऊपर आपने कोई जीएसटी पे करो, उस पर भी आपको नहीं मिलेगा. कॉस्मेटिक एंड प्लास्टिक सर्जरी, लाइफ इंश्योरेंस एंड हेल्थ इंश्योरेंस फॉर टेकन फॉर द एम्प्लॉयज, You're not entitled membership of club, health and fitness centers. Like when I was working with Idea Cellular, then I was having a membership of Gymkhana Club. So it was around 5 lakh rupees the company paid for me that time. So on that, suppose there was